We'll call the meeting to order. Inland Wetlands Commission for Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. I'll ask Bruce to call the roll, please.
All right, Commissioner Ned Statcher,
Here.
Andre Simons,
Here.
Richard Berlandi,
Here.
David Fox,
Here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
Neil Kelsey,
Here.
Mark Simpson,
Here.
and George Santos. George, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Thank you. All right, Chair, it's all yours.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the Telka Glen Tax District dredging.
Yep, we have Martin Brogy here, and also just to update everybody, we at the last meeting when I wasn't here, you guys had asked for a sediment map, so that was provided for you in your packet.
Yeah.
Right there. So, all right, Martin, it's all yours. You want to just kind of update everybody and give a little update of where we stand today? I think everybody was at the meeting, right?
That's Robert.
Oh, Robert Eisner was there.
Robert.
Yeah. So Martin, if you don't mind just going back, just giving a little brief update of it. All right.
Sure. So, my name is Martin Brogy. I'm the principal of Martin Brogy Inc. I'm a soil scientist here in Connecticut, as well as a Connecticut licensed environmental professional. I've been working in Connecticut for about the last 33 years. This project was presented to me from Sherry Kellner with Talcott Glen. There was a small pond, about 4,000 square feet on the site. I think it's that. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. That is packed with sediment almost to the surface. In some areas, it is right to the surface along the edge of the pond. And there's been some flooding issues out here, flooding up against a garage to the west, damaged some cars and so forth. Our engineer, Will Walter from Benesh, thinks it's probably an outlet a problem. The 40-inch discharge pipe there may have an issue. But the first order of business is to get the pond dredged and to open up the beginning of the outlet culvert at the northeast corner of the pond. And remove the sediment, open up that channel and get things flowing the way that they were designed to. The invert of that 30-inch discharge pipe is not far below the elevation of the pavement in and around the garages. And that's what, a little bit of backup there can create that flooding problem. So we have Pristine Waters on board. I'm not sure if Mark Aimler's here. He did a pretty extensive presentation last time about how the system would work, including using basically a pumping system that would deliver the sediment to a dewatering bag about 150 feet northeast of the pond in a staging area. That bag would dewater into a containment system, and then the water would get pumped back into the pond as they pump the sediment out, and there it is there. There were some comments from staff as to whether or not that containment system would be large enough given the volume of sediment, but the sediment is actually quite fluffy, as Mark explained, and it will settle down and meet that volume. And so the plan is to get this done in a low water time, perhaps in July or August, and be very, minimally impactful to the pond. Everything is away from the pond other than the inlet hose and the outlet hose, and a small charging barge that would float in the pond to prime the pumps and so forth to keep the suction moving. And then the hoses would be removed. And then the plan is to either reuse the sediment on site, should it be suitable, or dispose of it off-site. Bruce Sear mentioned to me earlier in the last week or so an issue that he brought up, and that is the environmental quality of the potential sediment removed from that pond, given the fact that it's received stormwater for a number of years. And certainly it's not uncommon. I've done quite a few dam removal projects where we've worked with DEP and other agencies to evaluate the quality of the sediment to determine whether or not it's suitable for on-site reuse or for disposal off-site. So that's something that wasn't specifically scoped out previously, but we are now planning. I let the client know that we're going to need to do a laboratory analysis of the sediment. I'm proposing 2 composite samples of the sediment once it's been fully extracted and in the staging area, analyzing them for common stormwater contaminants, including heavy metals, extractable total petroleum, semi-volatile organic compounds, and we'll add herbicides and pesticides as well, given their potential use in and around the condos. And if those results all come in below a residential direct exposure criteria, we will deem it suitable for use, on the condo facility somewhere as part of landscaping amendments and that sort of thing. Mark indicated we maybe need to add some sand to it to make it more suitable for use as a mulch in and around plantings and that sort of thing. But we are proposing to do that. Our plan would be to collect the samples and provide an analytical report with a table comparing it to the Connecticut DEP residential criteria to staff, and either thumbs up or thumbs down whether or not it meets the residential criteria for on-site reuse. We did talk a little bit about wildlife and vernal pools and fish and that sort of thing. There are no fish in this pond. There is some amphibian life there, no vernal pool obligate species, Mark had indicated, and certainly I've witnessed that any wildlife per se in the pond tends to scurry away with any kind of human movement, and they'll be far away from the suction pumps. It's not likely that anything will be sucked up into the system. Everything will stay away in the ever deepening waters in safety. So we're not anticipating any wildlife impacts, and certainly this would be a major improvement to the water system, increasing the water column and oxygen, given the fact that it's basically stagnant and all the water is taken up by the organics that are thick in this pond. So that's the quick summary. At this point, I guess for Bob's benefit, hopefully it wasn't too quick, but that's what I have for you here.
Okay, thank you. I'll just go around to the commissioners and ask if they have any questions. Dave Fox.
Actually, I only had one question, but you answered it very well. I was curious about the fate of the sediments. And I think the protocol that you outlined is a good one. So I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Robert Eisner.
Again,
Did we lose Robert?
yeah, no,
He's
there it is.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, gotcha.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Martin, I think a lot of times the RSRs are used as a proxy, but they weren't intended for reuse if contamination is detected. As you know, the remediation standard regulations are safe cleanup standards. But if you do your composite samples and you come up with detectable levels that exceed background, you cannot reuse that at the site unless those contaminant levels already exist at the site. So it's, and I would imagine, given the nature of the sediment basin, you probably are going to come up with some detectable levels that may preclude reuse at a residential site. So you're probably going to have to look at an industrial reuse or potentially a landfill capping material. But just because it meets the RSRs, you're not doing a remediation. You're sampling for determining clean fill versus contaminated fill.
I guess I was imagining the scenario of reuse of polluted fill.
But you don't have, I don't imagine that the condos are built on contaminated fill. So you'd be introducing contamination where contamination does not exist.
I guess that's an assumption. I guess we could do some background sampling of the property to determine background concentrations.
Yep, that would, if you are planning for reuse at the site, then yes, you'd have to determine the background levels at the site as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Kelsey,
Nothing from me, thanks.
Mark Simpson,
No questions.
Rich Berlandy,
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Andre Simons,
I have no questions at this time.
okay, George Santos,
No questions. Thank you.
okay. I have questions on the sediment in there. Are you planning to get as much of that sediment out of there? Is, you know, I see most of it's like 2 to 3 feet, some deeper sections. But is the plan to get most of that sediment out of there?
Yes, the plan is to rediscover get down to the firm pond bottom, the original pond bottom.
Okay. And then you were talking about the testing of the material that comes out, and you had talked about petroleum products, and I was wondering, so doesn't petroleum products usually, I mean, do they, along with staying, you know, floating on the top of the surface, but do some of them sink down into the sediment?
Yeah, there's heavier fractions of petroleum in the semi-volatile range that, you know, and it also depends on, you know, when these were deposited in the sediment, you know, if there was an older release or some runoff that had some oil in it, you know, might have deposited earlier on. So it could be in various locations throughout the sediment profile.
Okay. And the plan is also to lower the elevation of the at the outlet area to try and you had mentioned that the elevation at the outlet is pretty close to the elevation of some of the garage locations, and so they wanted to try and get that lower. Is that part of the problem that'll be
Yeah,
resolved?
the invert of the 30-inch discharge pipe, which is the, you know, design outlet for the pond, is you know, maybe a foot and a half lower than the parking area. I'm not able to see the elevations exactly right now, but it's not a huge difference. But where we have a constriction is the southwestern end of that culvert. Yeah, right in there, right in that where that bridge is. I had another document that I'd submitted for the last meeting that included some photographs of that area. There are some cobbles in there, and there's some sediment that has built up. And we plan to remove that sediment and relocate those cobbles and sort of open up that entryway. That's the area there just below the bridge. You can see some of the
Yeah.
stones there, and we'll be bringing that down to the design elevation of that ditch that leads back to the invert of the pipe. So that's really where we see the best chance for improving lowering of the pond outlet right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those photos, it almost looks like, I don't know, kids or whoever were like trying to dam up some of this. So that's going to be addressed with moving the rocks and the cobbles for better flow.
Yeah, that's all handwork. That's all handwork we can do in there.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
All right. That's all I have for questions. Anybody else think of anything? Okay, so the first thing we have to do is determine significance. I tend to think that this is just a maintenance operation, and it should, you know, greatly improve the operation of the sediment basin, give it more storage area, and hopefully eliminate the damage to vehicles in the parking garage during high flow times. So I don't think it's a significant area, but I'd like to hear from the commission. What's your opinion on it? We'll start with Dave.
I would agree, not significant.
Okay, Robert.
I agree. It's a non-significant regulated activity. It'll actually have a net benefit when it's done properly.
Okay, Neil.
Yeah, I concur.
Okay, Mark.
I agree that no need for a public hearing, since the people who would probably call in and talk about it would be the residents of this community. So
Yeah.
it's just a maintenance type of situation. Thank you.
Okay, Rich Berlandy.
Yeah, I would agree that's non-significant.
Hey, Andre Simons.
I would also agree that it is not significant.
Okay, and George Santos?
I also agree with that.
Okay. All right, seeing that everybody agrees that it is not significant, the chair will entertain a motion that this is not a significant event and just maintenance.
So
So
moved,
moved by
Mark.
Robert. I'll second. Robert seconds.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
I didn't miss.
Aye.
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 Sorry, who do we miss who first? Who was the first, or who made the motion? I apologize. I got Robert as the second, but who made the motion?
Mark was
Mark
concurrently.
first.
Oh, Mark, okay.
Thank you. All right, so we had aye, opposed, abstain. Okay, motion of not for non-significance passes. If there aren't any more questions, I will entertain a motion to accept the application. I'm not to accept it, to approve the application. Is there any further questions before we do that? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the application, please?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Andre and a second,
Second by Robert.
second by Robert. Motion is made and seconded to approve the application for Talcott Glen. All those in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed, abstain. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it so much.
Hey, Martin. Hey there, yeah, just do us a favor, just keep us in the loop before we get started. Just give us a heads up on when the work's gonna be done, so we can stop out.
Yes, we will.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Lots
Have
of
a good night.
My pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
you
Thank
again.
you.
And Bruce,
Yes.
I'll extend the same to you. Keep us in the loop because I thought his presentation last week was very interesting. So
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
heard,
gonna
so,
try and sneak out there and just take a look at the operation.
good. All right, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Town of Farmington General Permit.
All right, this is the application. We had spoken a little bit under unfinished business kind of in the past about doing a permit as such. So I pretty much have what we discussed in here with some conditions, replacements of culverts 24 inches and less. Oh, sorry, again, this is for a town-wide permit for the town of Farmington, stormwater maintenance items. So it will be replacement of culverts 24 inches and less. Maintenance of any inlet or outlets to consist of a maximum of 200 square feet on each side. The work on these outlets is to consist of cleaning the inlet or outlet, removal or replacement of stone plunge pools, aprons, and or culvert ends, or maintenance of any kind of the connecting catch basins as well. All work is to be reviewed with the town of Farmington staff. Erosion control to be installed in accordance with town of Farmington staff. And town staff to update the inland wetlands question with any permit activity and to maintain a list of work performed under this permit. And the permit will be for a 1-year trial and then can come back to the commission for a new permit if the commission does deem fit. Also, permit is for work by town staff only. And just as an FYI, that, like I said, we're talking maybe 6 of these a year is what they're thinking that they do. So I think the intention is for them to come to our office, say, hey, look, we got a culvert that's blocked up. We need to open it up at such and such location. We're going to take care of it next week. I can stop out, take a look at it, confirm with them what they're doing, work out the erosion control, get the work done, and then I can come back out and document that the work is done. And I know the commission had some concerns with maintaining that, so we'll figure out some kind of a spreadsheet or some sort of a tracking form that we can follow those through. And what I'll do is I'll keep you guys updated as we go through, as the work is being done. It's not going to be an end of the year thing. I'm just going to give you a whole list. So if we know something is going on, I'll give you guys a heads up So, all right.
Yeah, all right, so couple questions I have, so when we say replacements of culverts 24 inches or less, but like I mean, I know the usual problem is, sometimes the end section of a culvert, especially if you don't have a big head wall, will kind of dislodge and start to get some settlement on it, and then if the joint opens up, you get water running underneath it, so, but if you were to do, like 200 feet of a 24-inch pipe, then I think that might be a different case. Is
Oh,
is there?
understood, definitely. Yeah, these are mainly roadside crossings and things like that. If we're gonna get into a pipe run, I mean, if we're gonna take a pipe that outlets out into into someone's backyard, all right? If they're gonna work on that pipe end, just clean up the outlet, replace the culvert, fix the stone, then that would qualify under here. But if they're looking to replace 200 feet of a pipe that's along a wetland, then at that point, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? I think this is gonna need I think this is gonna need an inland wetlands permit. And at that point, I can bring it up to you guys if you want. We can chat about it. If there's anything questionable, hey, do we think this qualifies? If not, we have them come in for a permit. So definitely be communicating with the commission during this whole process. Does that help?
Yeah. Do we need to clarify that, or I mean,
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I think so do you want to put a footage in here? Like, or,
like
replacement of
replacement of end
culverts?
sections of culverts or something like that. I mean,
Okay, yeah,
'cause I'm
yeah.
thinking this is for maintenance work, I don't, it's not for putting in a new long run of pipe that, may
Alright.
be within the area of the wetland 150 feet.
What if it's the pipe under a road? So what if it's a culvert under a road, so it's 25, 50 feet? Does that qualify? Or do we
If
want
it's
to?
under the road, no.
Okay,
I mean, I guess we'll get better with this as we go on, but I'm just trying to lay out some guidelines. I know some people are uncomfortable with this and think this this kind of is our job, but um, like I said before, that this is at DOT bridge maintenance, we have a standing permit through DEP for DOT staff only, and to work on minor improvements on structures. It's mostly for maintenance work. It's not, I mean, if you're replacing the entire box culvert, then you have to get the permits. But for maintenance, like I said, a typical issue is that last section of pipe or that last section of box culvert. It starts dropping down, and then you get a gap and you get water running underneath the pipe. And so that is what I'm thinking of. I not thinking of, a whole long run, but if it's under the roadway, then that's a little different case. So I guess you'll have to come to us and anything that you think is borderline, and then we could decide at that point.
okay. So I guess just to confirm, so if it's under the road, it's okay, you're saying, right? So if it's under Burlington Road, let's just throw out that road. I have an 18-inch pipe under the road that had, that they got in there, they started cleaning out the end and they realized that it's failed, or it's an old aluminum pipe,
Right.
it's crushed. Do they have the right to go in there, open the road, replace the
Yeah.
pipe? Or do
Yeah,
we
I
want to come
think that
back?
in a roadway, it's,
Okay,
you know,
all right, I can clarify that if you want.
All right.
Culverts of 24 inches and less, we can pick a length. You want to pick a length of like 30, 40, 50 feet?
well, like you
something
say, if
that?
it, 40 feet, adjacent to a waterway, or within the area is different than something that, that's under a roadway.
Okay, so I can, so let's say so we'll say road culverts, how's that? Something like that,
All right.
road culvert. crossings
or
and,
end sections.
yeah, and end
Road,
sections.
roadway culverts or end sections.
Okay, yeah. And 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 like I said, I told him, I says, I definitely our reputation is on this as much as you as yours is. So I think when we see this, we definitely are going to be keeping the commission up to speed on that. All right. So if there is a concern or a question, then we could address it at that point. And this is a learning experience, I think, for everyone. So, and it's only for a year. So I said we're only talking maybe 6 projects at the most. So we definitely will keep the commission involved. If there is a project that the commission doesn't seem favorable on, we can then have them submit a permit. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, just for example, the work that's being done right now in with the splash pad, and then I think that's a permit, right?
Yes, because that's not new.
Right.
Sorry, that is new. These
Yeah,
are
that's
all
new. It's
they're
not
all
existing
maintenance of
maintenance.
existing. This is what this is all for. So,
Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody else have questions on this? Or I know some people have concerns. And it might not work out, but I think we should give it a try. Make things run a little more smoothly and a little less work for everybody with the applications. So I'd be willing to give it, do we need to put when we say 1 year, should we include the final one, have a date on it, or?
yeah, again, this is going to be we're going to have to just talk about it. We'll have to accept the application. And then we'll have to vote at the next meeting.
Oh, all right, that's right, yeah, because we haven't, so we can't vote on this tonight, we just have to accept
Exactly.
the application tonight. Huh?
Exactly. So,
All right. Okay. So any members, I won't call the roll, but any members of the commission have concerns on this or questions?
Well, this is Neil. I'm so I don't know what we're really accomplishing here because I don't remember the town coming to us that much. So I'm afraid this is going to open up stuff that, could come back to bite us in the end and put a lot of pressure on Bruce, frankly, to do the right thing, and which I trust that he will, but it does put him in an awkward position potentially. So I've got concerns, but go ahead and accept the application. And we can discuss it further in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Commissioner
All right.
Eisner has his hand raised.
Yeah, Ned, I think it's a good idea. I think we do see some applications from the town. I actually can't remember the last time that if we ever have rejected or denied an application by the town. So I think, and hopefully Bruce, it's not putting too much burden on you, but I think it sets a framework. If there's something outside of this, or you said, Bruce, if there's something borderline, then you'd bring it back before us. But I think it'll maybe help Public Works and Engineering do some of their maintenance work a little quicker, and it'll keep our agendas a little more streamlined. So I think it's worth further evaluating and giving it a try for a year.
Yeah.
In a comment.
Anybody else? Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, and some of it doesn't change, because even, when the town does get a permit, if someone on the town staff forgets to put out erosion control or something like that, or it doesn't get delivered and they go ahead and do it. I mean, that stuff can happen whether they have the permit or not, so I don't think we're creating a lot of extra work. If anything, I think we're reducing a little bit of work for Bruce in that he's the one who has to process the application when they come in from the town. So hopefully we're cutting down on the work a little bit and allowing the work to take to go forward a little more quickly if it needs to. The other thing, sometimes I think I hear from the crews is at DOT is they like to have smaller stuff ready and they just keep in the hopper. So when like some bigger work gets canceled or something or postponed, then they have something to keep the guys busy with, on a smaller job. So, and I think that can help the town run a little more efficiently. So, all right, well, that's a hope anyway. So, I'll entertain a motion to accept the application from the town.
So moved.
Okay.
Second by Mark.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And what's the next?
The cease and desist,
Okay, cease and desist.
and nothing changed at this point. All right, I will keep you informed as we get closer to scheduling hearings and having that going. Okay. Apple tree on the planners report, if you don't mind. I
Yes,
know last week our last meeting, there was a comment regarding what happened at the fire regarding a swimming pool hole. So the pool, I guess your definition of started is kind of what actually work was going on. Well, based on what I was looking at from our photos out there, he had a somewhat of a hole started. It wasn't a full pool, but it was an area he started excavating. And as he said, he started that, then he went back to the house. So that was kind of back and forth from there. So I know, I think that Neil, or Commissioner Kelsey had said that, I guess that he talking us to some of the firemen, and I guess it was hampering their attack of the fire.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So have we approved the pool there? I came in only at the point of the cease and desist stuff. So, was there a hole approved where it now is?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I apologize. I thought you were here for that full application. Yes, he did get approval for the pool and the garage. So,
Okay.
all right, and that's what that was. So we had,
I came in when the 186 trees came down.
that was like the next day.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, so that's what it was. He started digging one day and did a little bit. It was, I want to say it's only maybe a few feet, and then he went back to work it on the house, and so that's kind of the way that's kind of way the project has been going. I work here, I bounce around and stuff like that. So I haven't touched base with him yet, as I think they're still trying to close out the fire investigation and the reports and all that stuff. So once that's done and he's had time to contact the insurance company and get that all squared away and started, I'll then coach back at him at the remaining items here.
yeah, if
Okay.
I remember,
Well, thanks for following up on that.
You're welcome.
Bruce, I'm just trying to remember. We had we approved the pool and something on the house, but then we made him change because he had also had a large garage that was included in that,
Yep,
and
he
that was
wanted-
like
he wa-
right next to the stream.
Exactly. Well, he wanted
And-
he wanted that large garage out back. Remember?
Yeah.
And that's where he ended up.
Yeah, and that's what
We
we had a
actually-
problem with. So we
Yeah.
asked, told him that the application would have much better chance of passing if he wasn't building that garage.
And I think after the meeting, so we took out the garage, went with the pool.
Yeah,
And the pool house, or the pool enclosure. And then he came back and said, well, I may want to come back and do a third garage or a second garage, whatever, on the side of the existing garage. And I told him, well, we'll need a permit for that at that point.
yeah,
So,
okay.
all right.
838, 850 Farmington Ave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did anybody else have questions on
Sorry.
Apple Tree Lane? Okay, I'm sorry. Good. 838, 850 Farmington Ave.
All right, next application, if everyone's familiar. Here, oh. Come on. Should have had GIS up. 838 Farmington Avenue, that's the old Epicure Plaza where the Naples Pizza is. If everyone's familiar with that. So here's the Naples Pizza here. M&R Liquors is here. Fork and Fire is in here. The David the Jewelers is in there as well. So the applicant had come in and with planning and zoning and is proposing some improvements to the site. All right, so let me jump back to those plans there. All right, as part of the plan, this is a mixture of sidewalk, there's some planting beds, there's a mixture, and they're all pretty much outdated and overgrown and stuff, so what the applicant's looking to do is do some facade improvements and clean up and kind of organize the site a little bit better. As part of it, he's looking to do a patio areas out here, and he was proposing to do one out here as well. Hence, as we got through the plan, we ended up asking them to withdraw this application here or this portion here of brick. So, and then to, and then to reduce this portion of patio as well. And to increase the landscaping area in front of the Starbucks in here. So what they're looking to do here is a permeable paver. For those that don't know what that is, it is it's the best I can describe it is if anyone's been up at the Rebel Dog at 5 Corners. The sidewalks they have there are a pervious paver. Usually it's an impervious paver, meaning it's like pavement. It hits it, it runs off, and it becomes a stormwater runoff problem. With a pervious paver, you'll do a larger joint. Okay, so it'll have a bigger joint in between the bricks and it's filled with stone. It's not filled with sand. And underneath it, you'll have anywhere from 12 to 18 inches to 2 feet of a clean washed stone. So the intention is for that water to hit that pavement or hit those bricks and go right into the underlying soil and then infiltrate. So it's definitely a plus. It's reducing impervious areas. And that's what they're looking to do here. Okay. These are going to be some rain gardens here. So they're going to plant these with some rain gardens and some overflow pipes or drains. There'll be one here, and they're going to add one here as well. Okay. So with that, and then they're going to clean up these sidewalks all along the front. And this is gone. They will not have this on there. And there's 2 existing dry wells here right now. So that's a plus. Those are taking water from, if you're familiar with the area, here's Route 4. It drains down into the building and it's a low point in the grass area. There's a couple of dry wells that are functioning to this day. There's every time we've been by there in a storm, I've never seen that area underwater. As part of the plan, we've asked them to inspect them, clean them as needed, and replace them if needed. All right, and yes.
What was the problem with the pavers, and was that also going to be pervious pavers?
Well, yeah, this was going to be a pervious pavers too, but this is a different planning. This has to do with outdoor dining. The area of pavers was getting too large, was able to support too large of an outdoor dining condition. So when we have too much outdoor dining with the indoor dining, the parking was not able to sustain that. So we're working with them to reduce these areas so the parking or the outdoor dining as well as the indoor dining will work, and we won't have a parking problem out there. So all right. So this will go away. He has an existing outdoor dining area in here.
He has some some seating in the back there.
And like I said, and he's got some seating along here. So just to formalize that in a smaller area, of course, we've asked to get rid of this and to reduce this area as well. So again, we have a parking count, which dictates a seating count. So that's how we're working with them to keep this sized appropriately. All right. Everything else is going to be a pure maintenance item. All right. This is going to be, the entire parking lot is in some poor shape. So they'll be looking to pave or to mill and pave it. They're not doing much in terms of excavation. What they're going to do is, we've asked them to do this, and they're going to address it here. Let's see, do I have a better picture? What is it? Here we go. So again, here's Farmington Avenue. All right, here's the maple side of the building. All right. So this is their proposed concrete. We've asked them to bring this out even further out into here with more landscaping. So here's the rain gardens here. We've asked them to get rid of this and to reduce this area here. And we've also asked them to do rain gardens in these two lower islands as well. Those are planted right now with just some mulch in them. So we're looking to and they've agreed to do a rain garden type situation on both of these with a high level overflow with a yard drain that'll be sticking up like a foot or so out of the bottom of the basin to collect any of the heavier flows during a larger rainstorm. So we're not washing any of the mulch or plantings out across the parking lot and causing a mess. And those will be tied into the storm drainage pipe. So now getting back to the storm drainage system, this whole parking lot here drains out to this and drains out to the river. And then there's a drain out back and that drains out to the river as well. Now, both of those are fairly old. Those were all built originally when this was built. And don't quote me, I want to say it was the 80s, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. All right. So in terms of wetland permit, it's just a mill and overlay, but so this is more of an informational thing. I wanted to just bring this in front of the commission for their review and garner their support of whether we can just do this under a planner's report or what, because it is just a mill and pave. It's not, they're not like reconstructing, adding parking. They're not moving parking lot lines or anything. So it's just a simple mill the existing pavement, pave new, and just put all these islands back. They're just improving these conditions here by adding rain gardens here and here. So it's definitely going to be a water quality benefit with both the rain gardens. The pervious pavers will actually reduce the total impervious area from today on the site. And as well, we've asked them to address some water quality at these two catch basins. All right, so we're talking maybe deep. Their engineers looking at it now, either going to be a deep sump with a hoods or just hoods, or using a newer product, which is a catch basin insert. If anyone's familiar, they're like a silt sack. So you'd open up the grate, you drop the sack in there, and you drop the grate in there. And what it does is it collects sediment. So it's like a big filter bag that hangs in there. It collects collects sediment, and it helps actually filter out hydrocarbons as well. So there are some concerns of adding anything on this embankment here, like a new structure or anything, because of how steep this is. It doesn't show very well here, but it's very steep into here. And definitely do not want to be touching that catch basin because it's going to disturb that embankment. And we may not get that embankment stabilized again for quite some time. So
What's that triangle there? Right.
this is
Yeah.
this is just an existing curb is out here, and that's just going to be like a no parking space. So
that area won't be paved anymore, and it's paved now.
no, the existing lines. Let me jump back over here. You can see right now the existing pavement lines run right along here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're really not changing any of these, but you could just, I assume you've been in the parking lot. I mean, you can see from the aerial too.
Yeah.
It's failing worse than what you may see here. So it's been a project in the works for quite a while. So as I said, all of this area is outside of the 150-foot upland review, but because it flows in through the catch basin to the storm, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And let everyone know. So just in case the work isn't being done, the application is with zoning right now for the approval of the facade improvements as well as the patio areas. So if it does get approved, I don't want you guys to see some work going on out there and without knowledge of it. So again, looking for a consensus that it is, since it is a simple mill and overlay, that it is something that we don't need a permit for.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as maintenance. Those two islands that are closer to the buildings, those are gonna, yeah,
All three
one has
will
a
stay.
tree in it.
Yep. Yeah, they're actually going to be like I said, the site's in some pretty poor shape. So all of these islands we'll have, you know, I think this is the only island with a tree left in it, so.
Yeah, the other
So
ones
the,
have
the landscape
think
plan
light
will
fixtures.
have all full trees back in here. The lights, they're adding a couple lights, they're adding, I think, one here, and they're adding, and we've asked for one light here, because this is where a major
Yeah,
crossing is. These two spots are where people use it the most, so just to get a light, so when people come in here at night, they come through here and people can see the pedestrians coming through the parking lot.
yeah.
As I said, it is just a mill and pave to clean up the parking lot. Most of the items that we're doing are up here outside of the 150-foot upland review. However, with that in mind, we did push and we got them to include a much of these water quality improvements, which will definitely benefit the site in a whole.
Where approximately is 150-foot mark? Because the stream's in the back there, right?
Yeah, right through here.
You're not close enough to the Farmington River for any of this to be in there, right?
No,
No,
it's
okay.
all out here. So.
Yeah, that little brook there that
yeah,
goes next to the golf course.
simple. So all this, see, that's all 209 feet.
Mhm.
The patio area is all like 209. But if you
Okay.
see, where does 150 take me? Yeah, 150 will take me back to the second island here. All
Yeah.
right. So it's something like this.
Okay,
So all of this area is an upland review area. Everything up in here is outside of the upland review area.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it, I'll open it up to the commission on anything, but I don't see the need for a permit. I think this is mill and pave work.
Agree, it's
Anybody
routine
else?
maintenance.
Yeah. Anybody else have a comment? Okay. Do you want to vote, Bruce, or?
If you don't mind,
Okay,
just to close it out, it'd be great, you know, that way we can say, hey, everyone was in approval of this.
all right, the chair will entertain a motion that the work was introduced to the commission with approximate locations of the 150-foot lines, and the commission deemed it to be maintenance work in the area and not a large change of the property.
I have
So
a
moved by
question,
Eisner.
Mark.
Okay,
This
motion's
is
been made
Mark. I
by
have a
Eisner, a
question.
second? Oh,
I think Mark's making a comment.
oh,
I like to question, is this something we've done in the past? If somebody doesn't do an application, we make a vote? How do we vote on something that has been submitted to us? That's the only concern. That's the
well,
only
that is a
question I
good
have.
question, yeah.
Good point, yeah. You don't have to, I just, like I said, just
All
looking,
right,
I mean,
You're hearing nobody in this, no one's
yeah,
saying
All
that
right.
shouldn't be done. But I just don't know if we should vote on something that has not been submitted to us first.
I think that's an excellent point, Mark. I think we just let the record show that there was consent, that the work was described to the commission, and there was consensus that this was not work that would require an application.
exactly. All right,
Somebody
it's fine.
somebody, I guess, move the vote forward, so that person should rescind their
I withdraw my poorly thought out motion.
I'm just trying to make it,
Wow.
I'm
All
just
right,
trying to make it official, you know?
okay.
Thanks for the reminder, Mark.
We'll learn
No
that.
problem.
We're learning here. I'm learning.
Well, occasionally I stay awake during these meetings.
All right,
Okay,
that's all I have for you guys on the planners report for the wetlands.
okay. Next thing is the
Mr.
minutes.
Chairman, yeah,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to the application. When I made the comments about the testing, it actually is a really complicated area of DEEP's regulations. And it's a common,
Hold
Oh,
on,
we lost him.
it froze up again.
I guess that was complicated.
Give him a minute, he'll be back. Give him a second. He usually comes right back. The suspense is killing me.
Better be good.
All right. You want to move on to the minutes maybe, and maybe
Yeah,
he'll,
all right.
maybe he'll
Maybe they'll come back. All right.
we lost him.
Hey, there he is.
I'm back.
There
Yeah,
you go.
so what they were proposing to do was identify there was contamination and then potentially place it where no contamination exists. And DEEP has a policy called the anti-degradation policy. You can't take contamination and put it somewhere where there's no contamination. What's concerning about the condos is they could have detectable levels of contamination. They put them at the condos, and then someone decides to plant a vegetable garden in that same area. And now we've created a direct pathway for contamination to get into people and children. So that was why I sort of pushed back a little bit. Their general sampling protocol was pretty minimal. They were proposing to do two composite samples, so they would potentially take 10 or 12 samples and mix it all together, and then see if there is contamination. It's an acceptable method, but it also reduces the likelihood of finding contamination. So Bruce, if they do those two composite samples and they come up with identifiable levels of pesticides or heavy metals or volatile organic compounds or anything else, they should not be reusing it at the site unless they do background testing and determine that the entire site has comparable levels. But it's a pretty common mistake by the environmental professionals to use the remediation standard regulations to say something is clean enough to be reused, and it's a wrong conclusion.
Well, thank you. I'll admit this is I have a tendency to go to David and you for questions early on because I don't have anywhere near experience with DEP or DEP, the regulations and the technical stuff on that. So thank you for sharing and also, work with Bruce if there's something that you can think of that they should be testing. By all means, share it with the staff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
and what they were testing for was an appropriate list, and the fact that they're going to do a composite sample versus, because they could say they're going to take, a sample every 25 cubic yards, and each of those samples would be analyzed individually. That's a more aggressive sampling protocol. It's not required by regulation. What they're proposing to do with a composite of all the samples is fine.
Mhm.
What
And it-
happens if they find some significant contamination, then do they have to do additional testing or?
No,
they
they just would not. They would likely take that material and they would use it at an industrial site where the contamination levels are higher, or we're not closing a lot of landfills. But
Yeah.
it could go for reuse as landfill cover, but you don't want to take, known levels of contamination and put it into a residential setting, even though it's, safe for cleanup. If this was a site that was a former factory and it was going to be redeveloped as condominiums, and they could say, okay, we've cleaned up to a residential exposure level. That's a safe standard to clean up to, but you don't want to introduce detectable levels of contamination where it does not otherwise exist.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some like discussions with him because that was my concern. It says what's in that material. So he said he would have he said he would bring it up for the discussion at tonight. So thank you for helping us with that though as well, filling in the blanks. So
Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
all right.
Okay, moving on to the minutes. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th, the Inland Wetlands Commission. Somebody, anybody?
This is Rich, so moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second, Mark.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Motion passes. We will adjourn inlands, wetlands at 7:56 and open up the conservation agenda at 7:56. New business household hazardous waste collection.
Yes. You scoot down here, just bring up the totals. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, I think I accidentally closed it. Tender review. I put the totals in the agenda review report just to give everyone an update. All right. There we go. So total vehicles received was 802 for a total waste collected of 20,000 pounds. Shredding was 9,000. And then we had the townwide cleanup and all this and all the stations for the collection stations that totaled roughly 4,600 pounds. So
Very good.
all right.
Townwide cleanup. Oh, that's part of it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
also I
okay.
apologize. That's all under the same.
I'll just add that I went to the annual meeting of the conservation, not the conservation, the land trust, Farmington Land Trust.
Mhm.
Because I was informed that I'm a member of that per chair of the inland wetlands. So I did go to their annual meeting and met a lot of the people there, and it seems like a great organization. Do a lot of good work and look forward to working with them. That's all I got. Nothing else in the planners report, Bruce?
Nope, that's
Okay,
all I had.
that's all I got. Anybody else have anything for conservation? All right, seeing none, chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th.
So move, Mark.
Second, Rich.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain, motion passes. And with that, we're adjourned.